Good afternoon. My name is Dean, and I'm joined by my teammates Shri and Patrick. We represent Lumberjack Consulting, and we're here to talk to you today about TELUS and the future of the IoT market. As it currently stands, TELUS has employed a couple of different strategies related to selling their IoT solutions. They've developed a marketplace and an efficient, effective, knowledgeable sales staff. What they've tried to do is to pair these two things together, to use their sales staff and their marketplace in tandem. What this has led to is a sales staff that is knowledgeable about roughly 93 different IoT solutions, all of which are available in the IoT marketplace. But here lies a bit of a problem. You see, the IoT marketplace is able to be far bigger than just 93 different solutions. But the sales staff, well, they've reached their capacity. They are experts on almost every single one of these 93 different solutions, and they can't simply go much further. In other words, there's a disconnect. And so either we could have less solutions in our IoT marketplace and really fail to utilize the full capacity of the IoT marketplace. But this would allow our sales staff to be true experts in the field. Comparatively, we could completely do away with our sales staff entirely, develop an IoT marketplace that has an array of different products and services, not just 93, but hundreds. But perhaps this isn't the best way to go. You see, when you analyze this further, we notice that the marketplace and the sales staff were both very efficient, but in incredibly different ways. The sales staff is good at customized orders, going to specific clients and selling to them, while the IoT marketplace has the capability for a vast array of different products and services. So instead of trying to fit this circle and this rectangle together, perhaps the best way to optimize the two is to separate them entirely. So what we propose is first to have an IoT marketplace that is completely different from our sales staff. This IoT marketplace would look a lot like the App Store or the Play Store that you'll find on your phone. Now, the difference here, unlike before, is that we would put the onus of marketing and implementation back on the developers. You see, we would use this marketplace and market it to our existing TELUS customers. Customers who, as we know, since we have an industry-leading churn rate, love doing business with us. We can leverage our strengths to use our channel of marketing and allow developers to offer a wide range of services to these clients. But then the question, if we understand the IoT marketplace, is naturally, what do we do with our sales staff? A sales staff that has thus far been incredibly effective at selling a vast array of different IoT solutions. So Shri's going to talk to you more about that.
Thanks, Dean. So after we establish an independent IoT marketplace, it's time to take a look at our sales team. So, as Dean mentioned before, it seems very impractical to have a sales team memorize all the potential 93 solutions that we can potentially sell to the customer. So what we recommend is to divide the sales team into three major categories, major industries, specifically the government, the healthcare industry, and also the manufacturing industry. In a marketing strategy, we like to call penetrate, expand, and command. So the reason we call it the penetrate is because there's a huge untapped potential within the government industry. And we need to find a way to situate ourselves and be the first ones in that marketplace and capture the existing growth that exists. Secondly, when we talk about expanding the marketplace in the manufacturing sector, there's a huge potential of growth opportunities, especially with the fact that there are 60% of the products that we sell are asset management. So thirdly, we need to command the healthcare market. Because we're already number one in the industry, it's imperative actually, that we solidify that place for the future years.
What happens if retail is the market that takes off?
Right. So retail, I highlighted like the growth potentials for the next 4 years. So retail is, as we've identified it, has a lower growth potential when we're talking about manufacturing industry, and we also want to leverage the huge opportunities and maintain that number one position in the healthcare industry. So manufacturing, as it stands right now, can be expected to grow to 152%, which we can talk about later and explain how that is actually going to work.
So a related follow-up question. The premise of the first part of the conversation was that you've decoupled the marketplace from the selling organization. What if the developer community decides to invest in areas that are not the three that you're training the sales staff?
So the whole idea of the IoT marketplace is actually to be completely separate from the sales staff. So while the sales staff will go after these 3 different industries,
What is the sales staff selling if not the product in the marketplace?
well, they're certainly selling the product in the marketplace, right? But they're selling more customized solutions. They're selling products that, having worked with developers and clients, are much more product focused on these different industries. They'll be more focused on being efficient for the government sector, for manufacturing.
So they'll be sourcing products from a different set of the industry than you're trying to woo with the marketplace?
So they'll be essentially having products that are more focused on delivering the best possible IoT solutions for those different sectors. So while those may be products that are also in the IoT marketplace, it'll be more focused on a sales staff going to one larger customer in, for instance, the government sector, building a customized IoT solution for them, and then delivering it to them, helping with the implementation. On the other side, the IoT marketplace is something that can be for any and every industry. It's for our current TELUS solutions, or current TELUS clients that are already with us, that already use us, and depend on us for a number of different solutions outside of IoT. Did that answer your question?
A little bit.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, let's talk about how we can leverage the sales team in terms of expanding within the government sector. I'd like to pass it up to Patrick to speak a little bit more on that.
Great, thank you, Sri. So, as we move into the penetration part of this, and what I want to stress is that this is a simultaneous move. So as we go after the government marketplace, we'll be going after these other ones as well. What we're looking at is market share here. What we see in the Internet of Things overall market, especially in the Canadian market, is one that is going to be growing rapidly over the next 3 years. And we see the TELUS opportunity to grab market share and to become one of the main competitors in the market by focusing on that growth. So the first growth I want to talk about here today is the government spend. So what we see now is projected out over the next 3 years at 20% compound annual growth rate. We're looking at over 200 million Canadian dollars in added potential revenue for TELUS and in the marketplace in general. Now, this isn't just revenue that we see being created out of thin air. This is revenue that has been talked about specifically from the government standpoint. Canada has been dedicated to becoming one of the tech leaders of the world. And we see this as TELUS' opportunity to bring in the Internet of Things, to expand the opportunities and the benefits that come along with the Internet of Things into the government and public sector to create the benefits that really it can have for the everyday civilian. Now, within this government space, we really identified 3 main segments and purchasing criteria that go along with each one. The first one being cities. So smart cities have seen a massive rise across the world, and Canada will soon be the same. Now, with each segment comes a different set of challenges. So, for example, with the cities, what you see is a lot of different municipalities and departments within cities that are trying to leverage different technologies. Now, TELUS' strength lies in the fact of the marketplace, the IoT marketplace, and the amount of developers that have come through. Being able to go specifically after this government sector and merge all of these different technologies with the connectivity that TELUS inherently has, we believe will be able to really offer a solution to cities that has not been available in the market before.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about these solutions, are we talking about partnering solutions with other third parties? We're talking about building solutions. What are the solutions that we're looking for?
Sure. So currently the marketplace, TELUS' product portfolio has a certain amount of implementation, just ready off-the-shelf implementation of the devices themselves. What we see the ability of this sales strategy is more working hand in hand with the end client to be able to take these solutions that we already have, figure out where the benefits are, figure out what we can really do better, and then as we move down the line, be able to continue to create these better solutions that are more under the TELUS brand of those white fleet brands.
Okay. So if I understood that correctly, it's take existing solutions and then customize them and fit them to specific customer segments?
Correct.
And in that model, that sounds like that could be complex and expensive. Have you thought about that?
Sure, we absolutely have, and we're going to go a little bit into the cost later. We see training as being extremely vital to this process, but we also see the current TELUS sales staff as being very efficient at what they do. It's a matter of redistributing where their focuses are.
When you get to that section, can you talk outside of just the sales staff? Because selling it is one thing, actually building it to specific requirements is another, and then running and supporting that would be a third.
Sure, absolutely, thank you. Great, so moving on, the next customer segment that we were really talking about within the government is the provincial segment. So what we're talking about here is rather than specific utilities things or specific cross municipalities, we're looking at largely transportation focused and things that that TELUS is already really good with their off-the-shelf solutions. And finally, the federal government as well. Now, federal and provincial governments create an even new challenge when it comes to budgeting, when it comes to passing the spending that will come with implementing this Internet of Things package throughout.
So can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
I guess I'm still a bit confused because we have 93 solutions in the marketplace. Our sales team is being decoupled from the 93 solutions, but we're taking the 93 solutions and we're customizing them to customers. Am I following the?
Sure, so just to clarify a little bit, so the 93 solutions that we currently have are spanned across all different industries and really don't have a particular focus, but what we do have is within those solutions, and we'll talk about this specifically with manufacturing here in a little bit, but what we have are solutions, subsets of solutions that gear themselves towards specific industries that we feel like we can have sales staff specialize in and be able to bring even more expertise and not be overwhelmed with the ever-growing Internet of Things and expansion that is offered through the IoT marketplace.
So that sounds like when you say decoupling the marketplace, there's a process of picking and choosing winners of those solutions and focusing more closely with those. And then in terms of the remainder of the marketplace, is there a, to grow that or to have new partners who would be managing finding those new solutions that we would white label for the masses that aren't going to have that specific focus?
So to answer kind of the first part about that, so basically the way that we look at it and see is TELUS simply needs to, not simply, but TELUS needs to basically leverage their current existing relationships with their clients and their developers to customize packages that work for those different clients. So for instance, TELUS has a number of, let's say, manufacturing clients currently. So we take those manufacturing clients that we have, we talk with them about what's currently working in their IoT space, what products they have that they've enjoyed. We take them hand in hand with developers, and then we say, well, let's look at these different products and services that have worked. Let's couple these together and build customized packages that can then go with these different products. And then to go to that second part of the question in terms of sort of looking and sourcing and seeing which developers are the best, TELUS, we think should focus less on individually picking winners and losers and allowing the market to pick that themselves. So having a wide array of different products and solutions that we can offer to customers and seeing which ones they prefer can then allow us to decide in the future, manufacturing clients prefer this developer over these developers. And then essentially allowing the customer to decide which developers work the best and tailoring solutions that match that. Does that answer your question?
I think so.
Great, so finally I just want to leave off with this. So when it comes to government spending, there's a complicated process that is involved. And with this RFI process, we need to make sure that the TELUS sales staff is really up to date on what this means, when budget considerations are coming into play, and really pushing the cost savings that the Internet of Things can have for different government levels. Now, after we talked about penetrating this specific market, we want to talk about how we can further capture market share by expansion in manufacturing.
So one of the largest, the largest specific IoT revenue industry as it stands is manufacturing. Now, we listed here, yes?
Which manufacturing?
So manufacturing.
Discrete, industrial, agricultural, automotive.
So
Which one?
industrial, specifically focused on factories. So as it relates to factories, and this is listed as manufacturing within factories and nothing else. So manufacturing is incredibly large. In fact, we noticed, and we compared manufacturing to utilities and transportation, which are two of the other larger IoT revenues today. Manufacturing outsizes both significantly right now, at this very moment. But it's not just about how big the market is in manufacturing today, it's about what it's going to look like. And in fact, by 2014, manufacturing will grow 152%. It's currently at revenues in the entire Canadian market of about $700 million, but will be a little bit over $1.7 billion with a CAGR of around 26%. Compare this with utilities, which according to some of the sources, the IDC sources that we looked at, actually believe that the IoT space will go down. And while transportation will go up, it's only going up 72% by 2018, which by itself is certainly a lot, but it's nothing when compared to the vast growth that manufacturing has promised by 2018. And so obviously manufacturing is a massive IoT space with incredible growth potential and revenue potential.
Specifically selling them what?
So the things that they focused on most were first asset management. We actually looked at, and so we looked at whether or not TELUS has the current things to match, the current IoT needs to match what is important to manufacturers. The number one thing was asset management. That's something that's familiar across a lot of different IoT solutions, but it's the top one, the top specific IoT service that they require. Another one was security monitoring. That was something that was big among a lot of the different manufacturers, and that's something that, again, you offer at TELUS. And so, looking more specifically at some of the key purchasing requirements, the two things that they narrowed in on were greater productivity and improved quality of service. And so, we have current strengths in the marketplace. First, we have a diverse offering of IoT solutions that are geared toward manufacturing. But we also have a robust sales staff that is able to sell a wide array of products. So in order to bridge the gap, we first recommend that we work with existing clients and developers to find customized solutions that tend to work for these different manufacturing clients. When we say customizing, we don't mean that we're going to go in ourselves and change the software. Rather, the growth of IoT depends on connectivity. It's on many different arrays of IoT working together. And so, if we're able to customize those things for different clients, to find our different IoT solutions that work best together, then we can find the effective ones, the ones that work best for manufacturing, and pitch proven products that have worked, that can make you an industry leader. But it's also about developing a sales staff that actually is an industry expert. And so having them work continuously with developers, having them train with developers, will allow them to be incredibly well trained on the different products and IoT solutions, and allow them to better market towards their manufacturing clients.
So there's an assumption that you're going to leverage the relationships that TELUS sellers have with manufacturing clients. Is it your assumption that the actual relationships they have based on products they sell today will be the purchasers of IoT solutions?
So as it relates specifically to IoT solutions and to manufacturing as well as for government and for healthcare, it's not just leveraging our current TELUS strengths and current TELUS clients, it's going out and finding new manufacturing clients that we haven't worked with before. So just to clarify the first part of that. And then, I'm sorry, could you repeat the second part?
Sure, if I'm a TELUS seller, I'm selling many things to manufacturing. Shop floor automation is not one of them. So I actually don't know the people who would buy your IoT solution. How do I get to know them?
So, right. So essentially the way that we looked at it was developing a sales staff that is trained on becoming more industry leaders and industry focused and building those connections. So it is about building a sales staff that's able to go out and find those different customers. We may not have those connections today, but that's our goal is to build an industry leading expert team of sales staff. So now she's going to talk to you a little bit about how to command the market in healthcare.
So as I mentioned before, TELUS already has the #1 position in terms of market share within the IoT healthcare industry sector. So as of right now, for the next 4 years, we can see about a 19.8 CAGR growth, which also coupled with the fact that there will be almost 100% increase in the number of devices that will be using the Internet of Things, that's going to mean a huge market potential that we can capture in order to generate increasing revenues. And that's not to say the fact that we shouldn't scale with the growth of this industry itself. So with that in mind, like as Dean mentioned with the manufacturing industry, let's also take a look at some of the buying factors that we can use and utilize for the sales team in order to sell the products. So most importantly, we need to take a look at the data and network security and address those within our products itself. And also there are topics such as forwards compatibility and remote customer data analysis when you're dealing with physicians and the future of healthcare. So with some of these in mind, let's take a look at how much this may cost us in terms of how we can grow the market share within these 3 areas.
So as we mentioned before, market share is the key in this. We are looking at an Internet of Things marketplace that is expanding and is exploding over the next 3 years. And in order for TELUS to compete with companies such as Rogers, with Bell Canada, we need to make sure that we're capturing as much of this new growth of the market share as possible. This, coupled with extremely low churn rates in the industry, make it very difficult for TELUS to grow and establish themselves with a high percentage of market share in other means. So if we look at our projections out to 2018, what we're looking at is fairly conservative estimates with only 20% market share by 2018 in manufacturing, and then going with our current market share in healthcare upwards of 60% and 50% into government as well. So what I want to leave you with here is this. By going after these individual segments aggressively, with the high growth rates that they offer, we are looking at capturing this market share where it hasn't been before. What we really believe that TELUS can do is to penetrate this government sector, to get the market that it has been, to expand in manufacturing, and to command the healthcare market. Thank you.
Time.